Hi, Rob Lukey with Shop Prop. I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the changes that you're going to see take place over the next period of time in the real estate industry. I think it's important if you're buying or selling a home to understand them both from a strategic standpoint when you're selling your property and when you're buying it. But also, one of the reasons why Shop Prop is going to offer free home buying services to people that can't afford it is because some of the unintended consequences, especially in California, might leave some buyers out of the market. It might eliminate some of that, and I'll give you an idea of why I'm saying that as we go through this video. But so this video is going to alert you, the home seller and the home buyer, some of the changes in forms regarding commission and so forth, and what it means actually as far as why they're doing it. I'm going to start off with the listing agreement in Washington State because I believe Washington State got this right. And what I mean by that is that first of all, the NWMLS, and kudos off to them. I know Justin, he did a great job early on kind of decoupling some of these issues. And one of the things that they did right away is they decoupled the buyer's brokerage compensation from the listing firm's compensation in the listing agreement. So this is how it should be done. And it says that it tells the seller right away there's no standard commission. You can offer whatever you want, and that you, the seller, are paying the buyer's brokerage compensation, not the listing firm. That's a big change because in all the other agreements, remember, it basically said that the seller was paying the listing broker and the listing broker then was paying the buyer's broker. That changed in the NWMLS. Again, way to get out in front of it. I agreed with that, pushing the exact same change. The other great thing that they did is on the purchase and sale agreement is they started putting the buyer's brokerage compensation directly in the contract. Again, clarifying it that, hey, there's a buyer's brokerage fee, alerting the seller to it, alerting the buyer to it. This is wonderful. This is exactly what should happen. The next thing that they did, which was a great thing, was in the state. And again, I'm for capitalism and small government, but this was a great thing because it made it mandatory that buyers had to sign a buyer's brokerage agreement. Now, why is that important? It talks about the commission that the buyer's broker is going to get paid. That's number one. So it alerts the buyer, hey, this is what you're going to be paying them. It also eliminates some of the procuring cause issues that you had where buyers, and you still have that, which I absolutely think that should be completely stricken and off the table. But the procuring cause says that if a buyer's agent shows you a property, gives you information, but never provides a buyer's brokerage agreement, they could still be entitled to the commission. That shouldn't be allowed. That's one of the things that I still think needs to be changed in the state of Washington. But that's more for a court environment, and I think that will be. But the good news is that this eliminates some of that because it says, hey, you have to have a buyer's brokerage agreement signed. Wonderful. This is exactly how it should be set up. What it does do, though, and something that you should be aware of, and one of the reasons why Shop Prop is offering free to people that can't afford it, especially our veterans and things like that, that are potentially, remember, the seller doesn't have to offer a commission. So what happens if they refuse to pay a commission? Well, and how does that buyer that can't afford, maybe they don't have money to hire a buyer's agent, maybe they're a veteran and they're putting 0% down and they don't have money to pay a buyer's brokerage for representation. In that case, Shop Prop is going to step in, provide that service for free for those people. And for people that are maybe they don't have as much on hand, same thing occurs. We again are going to be in a spot where we are providing the lowest cost to home buyers and sellers so that we can eliminate that and let people have access to the market. Let's talk about California now because this is a bigger change. And by the way, you're still going to have Washington post the commission in the NWMLS. So you're going to see that all. And so you're still going to be able to see that buyer's agent commission if there's one posted, but you don't have to. So let's talk about California, Texas, and most of the country, because most of the MLSs, which I think is a conflict of interest, are owned by the realtor organization. And the realtor organization, because they were found guilty of obviously collusion, all the things that the court case came out with, they settled. And one of the settlements said these rules, right? That they couldn't post commission inside the MLS anymore. So now what's going to happen is let's take a look at some of these forms so that you understand it when you're listing your property in all the other states that I'm mentioning. So in here, they've decided to start decoupling. First of all, on the listing agreement, the compensation for the buyer's agent is completely out of the listing agreement now. This is an important thing that you have to understand when you're in all these other states that are MLS owned by the National Association of Realtors. Now, know this exact same thing could happen in Washington State. It just has been doing it longer, and so far people continue to list buyer's agent commission. But there could be a time, and I think there will be, where people decide not to list it and want it negotiated as part of the contract. And you'll understand what I'm saying as I work through these documents. So what you'll see is that the compensation to the seller's broker is the only thing in there. There is no buyer's broker commission in the listing agreement anymore in the state of California and most of the rest of the country that is owned by the National Association of Realtors. Now, there might be a void that comes in where you have new MLSs popping up that aren't owned by the National Association of Realtors. As a matter of fact, I think like if you take the NWMLS's model, you could expand that nationwide and get rid of all these National Association of Realtors MLSs, and now you're posting the commission so it's out there for everybody. Because if sellers want to post it, they should be able to post whatever they want. It's their property and they should be able to do that. But let's go ahead and move back in. So there is no commission in here. So that's number one. That's the first thing that you should understand when you're listing your property, because now what you're going to have to do with your seller is you're going to have to ask them, how do you want me to communicate what you're willing to do? Are you willing to cooperate with agents out there? Yeah. What if the seller says, yeah, I'm willing to pay a 2.5% commission? So we're at Shop Prop, we'll communicate that with our sellers. Do you want us to communicate the fact that you're open to cooperating with a broker and you're open to paying 2.5% commission? That way, when agents call us, we can let them know and so forth, right? That's how it's going to be passed on. That's number two. The other thing that you should take a look at is that in the purchase and sale agreement now there's a spot that has the commission. This form right here is another term. So now you have to realize that as a buyer, the commission you're asking the seller to pay is now going to become an additional term, just like a contingency, just like if you're asking for closing costs. And I want to say that commission and closing costs now are very similar, because remember, if you're asking for a commission, which might be the best way to go, because if all the other offers are coming in with asking for a 2.5%, 3% commission, which is what's going to happen, for you to offer that commission, and let's say you go with somebody like Shop Prop, and then Shop Prop rebates you that commission, that might be the path of least resistance to get your offer accepted. I would say it generally is. Or you can say, hey, I'm not going to ask for any commission, and maybe make your offer stand out even better than all the other offers that are asking for that commission. So you have those two options to weigh as far as putting your offer together, especially in all the other states. In Washington, the commission is in there, so the best path of least resistance again is keeping the commission in and then getting that rebated back. But in California, most of the offers are going to be coming through with commission attached to it. So I would say the same strategy applies, but you may not want to do that. You might want to say, hey, I want to make my offer really stand out. I'm not going to ask for any commission. And you go with Shop Prop for that low cost. So that's number one. Now, number two, what you're going to see in your contract is this. And you'll notice these are all drafted forms because they're not out yet, but they're going to come out in California, in all the states. This is going to spell out how much commission is being asked for. If it's 2.5%, 3%, if it's 2%, this is where you're going to see that. The next thing that you're going to see, so very similar, if you remember to this form over here in the purchase and sale agreement in Washington State, where we're putting that commission in here, that's now happening in California and all the other states. The last thing that you're going to see happen in all these other states is the buyer's representation agreement, which basically does the same thing. It says to the buyer, I'm representing you, I'm going to be paid X number of dollars. Now, here's the thing to think about, and this is the thing to think about regardless of what state you're in. If the seller says, I'm not going to pay a commission, and that absolutely could happen, especially in super hot markets. I'm not going to pay a commission at all. In that situation, the question becomes is that how are you as a buyer going to address that? Well, obviously, you're probably not going to want to pay a 2.5% commission. That's going to come straight out of your pocket, increases your closing cost by 2.5%. You need to look for a firm like ShopProp. But I also think about, what about those people that simply don't have the money? Even, let's say, because remember, for VAs and so forth, often they can't finance, they can't pay their closing costs. So what happens? They don't get representation. ShopProp is going to fill that void by, obviously, the amount of resources that we have is limited, but we'll try to fill that void as much as we can by offering that for commission-free buying service so they can still get representation. And also people that maybe can't afford it at all. The good news is that people that can afford it, we're still going to continue to offer those low costs and eventually get to commission free for everybody. One of the reasons why I think it's so important to get to commission free is because of the collusion and the corruption that I see every day in the market. And guess what? The majority of sellers out there, when you hire your agent, you're not realizing it because you're never ever getting told that they held an offer from you. You're happy your house sold. You think they did a great job. I can tell you, I have example after example of people that have done just that. Buyers is on the buy side too. The only way to get rid of that collusion and corruption is to make it so that it's not worth their while. Right now, commissions are so large. I'm getting paid 40, 50, whatever, $60,000 on a home. That opens up to all sorts of reasons why people might bend the rules a little bit. When we get commission down, it eliminates a lot of that collusion and corruption, and it makes it a smooth transaction in something that's transparent for home buyers and sellers. I hope that helps. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.